All right. So where I want to start is I read somewhere that guitar wasn't your first instrument, that you started on the accordion. Is that right?
Yes, accordion, because my grandma, she was playing, I think, almost every day. Just she learned it by her own. She had an accordion and was sitting on her on the balcony and just playing at our house. And here and when I was, I think maybe when I was 4 or 5, I was in this xylophone playing group
Okay.
in the kindergarten and all that stuff. So somehow I was all the time already interested in music. But of course, when your grandma is playing such an instrument, kind of, I want to do the same like my grandma is doing. And then I started accordion. I think I learned it for 6 years or
Okay.
5 to 6 years. So it was playing that very long, let's say. And then,
Mm.
yeah, when you're 10 or 11, you don't at this time you don't find friends when you say I'm playing accordion. So I changed to, and also my music interest got completely was changing because my parents, they were more listening to Bon Jovi, to Brian Adams, Meatloaf, rock music in general, Deep Purple, whoever. So they took me once, I think, to a Deep Purple concert or something. And yeah, I've seen guys playing organ, piano, all that stuff in a cool way. And then I wanted to play keyboard, and then I was into keyboard and piano for some years, and then just by not really, it's called, I think, by purpose, not by purpose. Yeah, I was kind of falling into a guitar because it was not planned that I play guitar, but I just lent myself one of my friends and just try to. I tried it for 2 weeks. He was on vacation. He was with his parents somewhere away, and I said, "Hey, can I get your electric guitar for 2 weeks? I want to try that." And when he came home, uh, I could play like him. So it was like, I think
This
I
is
need
fun.
my own. I think I need my own now, and I'm not interested anymore in playing keyboards and piano for that time. And then yeah, and then I started to play guitar. So yeah.
Yeah. After those 2 weeks, what did you do? Because you kind of discovered this new instrument. You realized you were pretty good at it immediately. So what did you do? Did you look up all kinds of guitarists? Did you just start to try and figure out
Uh,
your own riffs?
a good a friend of my father, he was a big fan of Yngwie Malmsteen.
Mm.
So and he bought himself a guitar to check out and one years ago, and also he got all those tapes, those videotapes that time from guitar players
Sure.
explaining, and also of Ingwe. I think in this video he's 18 or something. And then it's like today when you go to last weekend there was this guitar summit. I would have joined it but was ill, like I said, so I couldn't.
Mm.
And there, of course, the young guys are standing in front of people playing like, so now I play like, and then now I play fast, and it was the same, like sitting there watching these videos, and was like, I will never be able to do that, but okay. So I got in touch immediately with guys like Ingrid Malmsteen and all those crazy guitar players, and then I, of course, and then I needed my own guitar, and I just remember that at the same time I needed new football shoes. So I was pretty sad because I needed this pair of shoes for the next year of playing football, because of
Sure.
course I wanted to have them. I don't know, I think it was the Beckham or whatever a shoe. And then I discovered, I can also play guitar, so I need a guitar. And at that day, it's not like today that you can start with a really cool setup. I mean, I just tell my students, hey, today you can get for 250 euros, you get an amazing guitar, to be honest, with a cool amp, and you already sound like crazy. And that day, I think even just a somehow cool guitar was already 250 300 euros. And then I needed an amp and what to buy and how to get all those money. So I think I remember that I was crying in our garden playing football with the old shoes, and like, oh, I need this money. And I think somehow my grandma or someone told them, okay, let's go to the music store, we buy you a guitar. You can't get the most expensive one, but we'll find one. And afterwards I remember also my own accordion. I gave away then 2 years after I stopped playing guitar. I gave it to a music store because it was
Mm.
an okay accordion. It was not a signature limited edition. And I was changing it into a Zach Wild Epiphone.
Okay. But
yeah.
So this interest in all these instruments, and obviously it's kind of like this broad education that you get from playing keys to guitar, and then is that something you still incorporate in the music you make today? Is that still do elements of piano play, do elements of I don't know the intricacies of playing accordion, but it's
I mean I have all those still here. There's the synthes, there's piano. Since I started to so it's now be back in the square. I mean, the thing is also what I tell my students today, if they start playing guitar or if they are not sure what they shall start, because I teach the beginners of piano and keyboards as well, same like guitar students, and I tell it's like I'm nowadays so happy that I had a chance to first got keyboard and piano lessons, because for composing, for arranging all those symphonic things, or even when I do music, I'm more into electronic synthy stuff. It's so great because at this time, when I was young, of course, there was this one day I was just it was enough with piano and all those keyboard things. It was just like I don't want to play it anymore. I'm sick of it. Rock guitar playing is everything. But the first years I played guitar, I just played guitar, and I didn't have a coach. Sasha Gerstner, the guitar player of Halloween, he came way later into my life as and because I met him, I think when I was 17. Then I played already 3 or 4 years guitar by my own, and let's say he got me that day. He was not in Halloween. He joined after I knew him 1 or 2 years. He brought me kind of to this, or he made me, let's say, or gave me the right changes and the right ideas that I could become the guitar player I'm today. But without the knowledge of all these piano things, I wouldn't be able to compose, to be honest, because guitar playing first was just playing chords, and I knew it was a G or it was an A, but I didn't have any connection to them. So it was just try and error all the time, try and error. And when I was, thanks to Sasha, and also thanks to the day I started to teach, because when I start teaching music, of course, I need to have more the theoretical ideas, and also have to explain it. And since that time, as well as since I started composing for bands like Vision of Atlantis when I was with them, or now Serenity or Beyond the Black, of course, now all this comes together since years, and now this is this makes me feel comfortable to arrange and compose, because I can now let's play the piano, it's this genetic thing, okay, let's transfer it to the guitars, or bring all that together, and this helps a lot. So I would suggest everyone, of course, if you want to start with guitars, it's okay, but if you're interested in music, 1 year, 2 years of playing basic things on a piano is just great. Do it if you're interested in that.
I recently bought, maybe 5 months ago, I bought a piano. I'm learning now, so I'm still in the early days of it.
Yeah, but that's cool. And the thing is, you don't need to be a Beethoven, or you don't need to be how's it called, Jing Jing Ying Ying, crazy, or Jordan Rudess or whoever. It's just that you can play a C major scale, that you play chords, because of course, if you have a kind of feeling for the keys, everything else can be done in the keyboard or in the recording program, because then you transpose it to the scales, so you don't need to be the perfect piano player. You just need to understand things, and it's somehow easier to create melodies, especially when I try to create vocal lines. I'm not sitting there all the time with a guitar and playing chords there. I try to do it with a keyboard, because there I can play my chord or my bass note, and then I can arrange already sounds or other scale lines to the melody I'm singing, which gives me already the better feeling of how it could turn out in the song than if I just play play a C major chord on the guitar.
That's an interesting point, because and let's focus on Serenity for this kind of question. But what is the general way that songs come together then? Does it start with a riff or a melody, or how do you, as a group as well?
I think it's the never answered question of the egg. What was earlier there, the egg or the chicken? I did with Beyond the Black. We are we are ambassadors for School of Blind Children, and or they also, how it's called, disabled people. They're not, one can see not, and all those things. And I offered them a workshop in which exactly I did the same thing you were asking right now. I was sitting there and saying, hey, let's do a songwriting workshop, but it's not like I tell you how to write a song. I will show you how you start to write a song. And I think you have three options to do. You can write, you can have the melody first, then you need to arrange everything outside of the melody, because if you love this melody, it's the heart of your song already, then you need to push it, and then you need to give it the right the right shape, the right bed, the right place for it. But as if you're a guitar player, of course, you're also into riffs. You're also into guitar lines. So sometimes you're sitting here and say, "Wow, that's for the guitar nerds. This is strong." So if you have this in mind, then of course you need to find the melody then, because the best riff is nothing worth it if you don't give it a heart. So then you have a strong shape, but you don't have the heart of the song yet. Then you need to find the melody. Or the third option is the rhythm, because sometimes it's really, I mean, we all know We Will Rock You. It's exactly this idea. So we need something. We need a rhythm everyone can follow. So we do doof, doof, bop, doof, doof, bop. And everything comes later when Queen was writing this song, because the first thing was just doof, doof, bop. And that's it. So this is also songwriting. And for example, we did it not in Serenity, but in Beyond the Black. If you listen to Dancing in the Dark, when you're listening to Dancing in the Dark, for example, this was a song I was writing with Jennifer and our producer in the studio, where we started to write with, let's start with a rhythm, for example, because it's the same word. If you have a strong rhythm, you can create then a riff or then a melody. I mean, then it depends what you have faster in mind. But these are just three lines, and as I'm, let's say, kind of addicted to all three ideas, for me it's all the time like I'm playing roulette. So what shall I start now? Sometimes I have the melody, sometimes I got the melody, for example, Ritter, Tod und Teufel. I got an idea by George. It was hey, let's write a song, maybe something in German, because the painting of Albrecht Dürer is Ritter, Tod und Teufel, the night, death, and the devil. And we were like, okay, English is not that cool, but we ever wanted to do a song in German. And then he was just doing like brainstorming, some melody, and I was like, okay, it's not that bad. Just give me 1 week, and I will present you a song. Hopefully, it will kick asses. And yeah, and it was exactly. I have still the demo here. It's 95% this song already. So sometimes it's the melody I got or I have in mind, and then you just try, and then you follow the because when you have the melody, I think the next thing is always the rhythm. It's always the tempo and the rhythm, and then it changed completely since the last 5 or 10 years after what all the experience I could got also with and collect with Beyond the Black, and also Serenity during the last years, writing songs. So guitar playing is not coming first anymore in my life. It's more creating the song. Sometimes it's happening that I have these riffs, of course, but I always keep focusing on the song itself, that at first it's there with melodies, drums, that everything is, the flow is there, and then I try, okay, which riffing could be cool. So sometimes it's just random chords first, and then I go in the next level. The second step is then, so now let's put away the chords and let's create some
textures
cool
and
guitar.
things. Yeah,
exactly.
What I find interesting, especially when it comes to Serenity, then is there's another element, which is that the music is quite conceptual. There's always these themes and these kind of it's set in historical times. And does that influence the way you compose at all or arrange? Is it because I don't know if we take Nemesis for instance, it's very much about Albrecht Dürer or inspired by Albrecht Dürer. Um, does that influence your mindset when you start to compose, or is this something that is only revealed later? How does that work?
Both, let's say. I mean, some songs you write music. For me, for myself, for example, when I tell about myself, I collect ideas kind of every day. Every time I sit here in my studio, I try to, if I don't have to record something because it has to be finished, or if I don't have to shoot a video for any company or some things, if I write music all the time, I just write it. I don't think about I need an idea first. It just depends on for which project or which idea I write. Do I write something for myself? Do I write music for Serenity, for Beyond the Black? That's what I want to select. But of course, there are songs when you're then starting to write. Really, you're into the songwriting of the album, and you know already, like in Serenity, we always knew before we finally start this final recordings, or let's say the final half year of songwriting and final recordings. We knew, of course, about what we will write. So like the albums before, we knew it will be about Richard Lionheart, it will be about Leonardo da Vinci, or this time about Albrecht Dürer. So then as I'm used to write also a lot of lyrics for us, I try to step into the world of the historical person we will write about. I try to read and watch documentaries and all the things I could get to think about, okay, which could be cool titles, which could be cool elements to write music, or at least the lyrics about. And then sometimes it's gonna happen that that you see a picture of an art of Albrecht Dürer, for example. You think, oh, this could be a cool song we could write a song about. And then you start with the inspiration. Or for example, in the past, one thing I never forget is when we were writing the Richard Lionheart album. I was watching his documentaries about this the Crusades and all the things, and then I got the story of him sitting in Jerusalem, imprisoned kind of, because outside there was the army of the Persian emperor or whatever. I couldn't remember exactly in detail, but this story when they fight at the last fight of Jerusalem of him. This story, for example, the song was not there before, but when I read this, I got inspired to write the Fortress of Blood and Sand, for example, because I tried to, of course, bring it to Persian riffs, to this more typical melodies we know, and also the lyrics and the whole structure. It has to be dark, it has to be epic, because you have to feel, when you really got into the story, you need to have to feel that how you be a knight of the Crusaders of Richard Lionheart sitting in Jerusalem, but of course you're about to die there, because they are not, they cut away the water, there's no food, there's just blood and sand everywhere around, and this are, for example, then it's completely coming from the inspiration. And also in Nemesis AD, I had one or two songs. I didn't have the whole song already, but then I've seen a picture of I think it was, for example, the Nemesis song. I've seen the Nemesis picture and of this apocalypse of the four horsemen of the apocalypse section, and I thought, hey, let's write this more dark and powerful song, for example.
Let's, because I wrote a few lines down from each song, and Nemesis was one that stood out to me as well, because I like Greek mythology and kind of the ideas behind that. And I kind of quickly looked it up, but Nemesis was kind of the god or the entity that gave retribution for the sins of hubris. So I kind of it was the Punisher in a
Yes.
sense. What do you like about this concept of this being that kind of judges whether you've been good or not?
I mean, it's a whole story. I mean, it's also end of Babylon. There was the God coming and
Sure.
judging about the sins of Babylon. We have the Son of Justice, the Son and Son.
Right.
It's not clear if it's that's funny because it's not clear if it's a he or she. The historicals are not sure. One say it's she. We left it as in she, but we were thinking, well, maybe it's also he, but let's see. In general, I mean, it's typical. It's this God thing. I mean, in general, it's the same thing. We are all fans still, I think, in nowadays when we watch Avengers or Marvel in general. It's the same. They're gods. They decide help us or kill us. So and we have one gods, they are on our side, but then we have gods, they are against us, and we are all running to the cinemas and buying Lego and figures at home to I don't know, it's Hulk or it's Thor and all those things. So it's something, of course, if you're into that. And then you see a picture of Nemesis and you read the interpretation and the story about it. It's cool, and it's of course it's everything. Let's say this typical metal idea is about. It's
right.
So there's this God deciding if you're allowed to die or not. Could be every Manowar song, let's say. But of course, in this time we try to give it more historical, more interpretation of the real picture. But and on the other side, of course, it gives you strong sentences, the God of the Emperor of Hate, and all those lyric parts. It was fun to write the lyrics because it's working by itself. You just think about, and even if you're not native, you can create strong, powerful lyrics. I think also which you can find then maybe on a T-shirt, like if you are Nemesis, the Emperor of Hate, and all the things, people will love it.
No, but and you mentioned that historical perspective, because that's what I liked when I did a little bit of research. Then, because Albrecht Dürer, one thing I found was you did an album a couple of years ago, The Last Night, about Maximilian the First, and I read Maximilian was one of the patrons who kind of commissioned Dürer a lot for. Is that how you guys kind of found that topic, or how did you arrive at Albrecht?
Albrecht was already part of one song, I think, on Fallen Sanctuary or someone. It was before my time. I think Heavenly Mission or something is about Albrecht Dürer, and because I guess George is professor of his history. He is into the themes, and as Maximilian, as a Tyrolean emperor, he was one, of course, of his main focus things on in history, and he knew about, because I think there was this anniversary of him some years ago when we released The Last Night. That's why I think he was chosen that time, Maximilian, because his life, to be honest, he was a crazy emperor, but his life, it was a little bit hard to write lyrics about him because his life in general was not that interesting, not as interesting as other persons before, because all the things he did was fighting and having wives somewhere in whole Europe, and that's something, of course, it's kind of limiting your lyric thing. But Albrecht Dürer was all the time one person we had on our list, because his art he created and everything is outstanding. And I just told it in an interview. The fun fact is, he is kind of the reason why we, as an artist today, we are signing your fan cards, because somehow he invented the sign, this AD thing. That's why it's called Nemesis AD, because he signed everything he did with AD. That was the first time ever. There could have been one person, but a not very famous one, who somehow did it on one picture, and then he saw it, but he did it in the big thinking about it, putting it somewhere on every painting, on every art he did. And And yeah, and not just about that. I mean, all the paintings and all the things we know about what he did, they're just outstanding. And for me, as a kind of not born Nuremberg person, but I'm living 40 kilometers away from Nuremberg. My father was born in Nuremberg, and somehow my grandma is still living there. I lived there 5 years also when I was studying, and yeah, it's cool to have an album about a famous person, so close, or coming from your place, let's say.
Right.
And yeah, and it was, and in general, we try to not just see a person in history who could be interesting in general as a person. We need to see also, when we write an album, about if we can really write fictionary or real stories about the things he or she did. And Albrecht Dürer, just about these paintings and all the names like Babylon, Nemesis, Son of
Soldiers under the
Justice,
cross,
Fall of Man, and all the things. I mean, it was like Ritter, Tod und Teufel. Everything is like, okay, we don't have a chance. We have to do that. It's made for us. And an interview partner last week, he just suggested, and I will really do that. We will try to find the relatives of Albrecht Dürer, because somehow they still have to be somewhere here. I mean, he was living here, so even if it's a grand nephew or something, it would be cool to just send them an album copy and say, hey guys, thanks to your whatever grand multiplicated with 500 uncle we dedicated an album to him. Thank you for the inspiration. That would be cool.
Yeah, and then maybe these people don't even know the whole lineage of their family. That would be interesting as well.
Yes,
and as you mentioned, kind of what I like about these types of albums is it for something like me, someone like me, I didn't know who Albrecht Dürer was. So then I do the research, and you see all these beautiful engravings. So that's always really fun to see. But
for me too. I'm somehow interested in history, but not die hard like George is, because I'm not the one who is trying to visit every castle when we are on tour. I'm just okay, it's a castle, nice, thanks, but I don't have to go there. But when we are writing the music for such a things, and when I got the topic, okay, now it's Albrecht Dürer, let's do that, and I start to get, like you said, in touch with him, very close, and trying to find as much as possible about his work, about his life. It's so great, because I know things about Richard Leonard, about Leonardo da Vinci, about even Maximilian I. I never would have known before, just because I'm able to write music of it. And if we can bring this vibe also to listeners out there, to music lovers who maybe are really not that historical guys, but then they say, oh, great artwork.
Right.
Did it. This is a real painting, but it's not, of course, it's not his, but Credo did a great job, this artwork company from Portugal, but let's check out the real thing. And then you see, wow, that's also outstanding what he did. And it's not just a prison tattoo, it's a real painting. It's crazy, you know?
Yeah, no, I was looking at, this is the last question, but I was looking at some of his paintings. And he also did a lot of self-portraits, and like every couple of years or something, it seemed like he did a self-portrait. And there's a song on the album Reflections, which is a very positive, empowering, kind of life-affirming song. So what is the connection in that song? Well, how did that song start?
Exactly what you told. When I mean, the music came from George, Sasha, and Marco. So I was not a musical creator of this one, but when I listened to the idea, the first demo of it, and when I was into all structuring the lyric ideas, or which titles we could use for that, for the songs and the paintings, I was about, okay, an artist like him, like you said, he did this self-portrait thing. He did this reflection thing in every step of his career. So if for Albrecht Dürer, showing himself in different stages of his life, was so important. I think if we do a dedicated album to him, we need to bring this idea also to the music and to the lyrics. So I was sitting there and telling people, hey, this is a song which really has the potential, the because of the different vibes inside, which are typical for a life, because you don't have a straight one, never. It's always ups and downs and different peaks, let's say. So let's use this for a reflection thing. I mean, this word reflection, this title reflection, it's so often used, and somehow we were like, oh, reflections is a bit, and it's hard to sing, but we don't use this word. It's more like an I don't know, a theme, a topic thing. Reflections of AD, of Albrecht Dürer, because it's the story of him telling and seeing back to all these different stages, to the things he invented, to the things he made, how he's seeing himself, and giving, let's say, also a push and not influence, but an idea to the people, because the chorus, I wanted to have it like, I think you also usually have as an artist. You think you give up, or like every human being. Oh, there's some, it's hard, getting hard. Shall I fall in love with this person? Shall I do that? I don't know. I have, or more nowadays problem. I don't feel well in my. I have a student. She didn't feel well in her body. Now she's getting a man. So things that people have, and you should not stop. You should always try to catch yourself, look in the mirror, paint yourself, kind of check who you are today, what made you to come to this point, but not stop. Go on and do it. It's Eminem said it: one shot, one opportunity. So we just have this one thing. So that's why it was I was really I wanted to have the lyrics like that, and I'm happy the band loved it, and they were able also to sing this fast chorus, because a lot of words. It's kind of hip hop more than singing now, but it's musical. But it's the story. If you really read it, and I hope people will read the lyrics, because it can give you a lot of strength, a lot of power. Hopefully, in either situation you are. If you're already in the mood to rock the world, I think you will get the power. Yes. They said it as well, so I do it. And if you have the feeling to give up, don't do so. Listen to the song, and then
I thought that was amazing. Just the kind of the sense of resiliency, and then all these elements is really a life affirming song, as I would put it. Chris, may I thank you so much for taking. I have one more question, since I'm learning. It's a very selfish question. Well, do you have a tip for me to learn the piano?
I just tell my students, try to focus, split the two hands. That's always the thing. Try to focus first on one hand, because even if you're learning piano for, I don't know, for example, for composing, it's okay first to play with one hand, because you can play the chords or everything else also in another step. And I do, for example, not trying to bring my students like I call it always the Russian way to learn it, doing everything together, straight, rehearsing like crazy. I'm more start the keyboard thinking. So try first to get your chords, if you want to start your left hand, try with chords. Try to bring them in at the same moment, at the same style, of course, and try this. And when you feel comfortable having the melody notes, you can read the melody notes also with sharps and flat signs and all the things, and you feel cool with that. Then start to learn the bass notes, because if you I think if you do it at the same time, of course there are books, and it's possible, of course, because sure, I mean, every piano I listen to a lot of piano students doing that, but and see that it's working. The only thing is, I think no one I know no one wants to do it as a professional first. So you want to have fun, and with fun you're able to do way more than if you are just doing the hard way. And I mean, it depends on what type of learning you are. If you need a hard way, then do, of course, the typical books. But if you just want to have fun, start with that. And when the interest is when the base is there, the interest is still high, everything is way easier than just trying everything at the same time.
That's a very good tip. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me.
Thank you for rescheduling, waiting, and being that patient. Really cool. And hope to see you soon on tour somewhere.